Hey mamas, Alexandria here, 34-year-old toddler mom, therapist, and gym rat. So, I did 100 reps of abs every day for 30 days because I was curious if it would impact my mom pouch, my lower belly fat, and see what it could do to improve those areas. So, if you want to know what happened, let's go. Decided that I would do a 30-day ab challenge. I chose the Blogilates ab challenge. I don't really know why. I have a history of doing ab stuff with Blogilates, so I don't know. It's just what happened. It's the one that I chose. And basically, the idea was that you do 100 reps of a different exercise each day. Now, I want to be upfront. I did not work out abs on rest days, and then of course I got sick last week, so with 2 days left. So my experiment did not go quite as planned, but I feel like 28 days plus then the last two over the last couple of days, it's good enough. And I don't think that it would have changed the results that I got from being more ab focused over the course of 30-day time period. So each workout, like I said, was 100 reps, and depending upon the day and depending upon the exercise, that runs anywhere between 2 minutes and 5 minutes. And I was really curious what would happen if I went into this and I was curious what kind of improvements, if any, I would see from 30 days of more ab focused exercise, because up until this point I do occasionally incorporate some abs, but I don't typically focus on abs or give a lot of energy or attention to abs. And so I decided that I wanted to see what would happen. So here we go. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to show you the first picture here, which is most likely on the thumbnail. And this is where I started. Now granted, I do have upper ab definition, a little bit, not a ton. And I do have sort of the mom pouch, the lower belly pouch. Now, the challenge with abs is that there's a couple things that we need to discuss first before we get into the results, is that abs are what they say made in the kitchen. And really, there is a component of that to working your abs. Abs are a vanity muscle of sorts, and they do serve a specific purpose, particularly those core muscles that you don't see, especially, when we talk about like the pelvic floor area, especially for people who have had kids, those pelvic floor muscles are weakened, and that's why it's really important to, do pelvic floor training. And also, if you are a mom, there's also potential for diastasis recti, so it's also something that you want to consider when you are making changes to your ab routine. You want to, check yourself out for that first, or get checked out by a pelvic floor therapist in your area. And if you want to get checked online, I will link some resources. I'll try to find some YouTube videos and things, or some resources so that you can check for yourself. It's not very difficult to do. So you just sort of like feel and you're looking for certain things. Anyway, so I don't have any diastasis recti. I probably did when I first had my son, but it's been many years. I've worked hard in making the repairs, and I went to the pelvic floor specialist. All of those things were done. The other piece that we need to, sort of think about in terms of abs is that there is a genetic component to abs. Some people are more prone to abs than other people, but unless you have your diet sort of in check, you're not really going to be able to see those ab muscles form until you have a low enough percentage of body fat. And then even still, again, that genetic component. So it's important to understand that as we go into this, that results are going to vary, and everybody's body is going to look different and respond differently. So just something to think about sort of as we go into this. But I do think it's still a cool experiment, and could be helpful for you to kind of know what you could expect if this is something that you're interested in trying to do. So like I said, here's the before picture, and then I will post the after picture here in just a little bit, side by side, sort of, a little closer to the end, so that you guys can see what happened. But basically, I'm saying we as if you were with me. I guess in some ways you are. But So, excuse the throat clearing, I'm still getting over some sort of congestion. Over the course of 30 days, I did the individual exercises. Again, now there's certainly other ways you could do it, and I could also try some different kinds of, challenges or different ways of doing it, so spending more time, less time with the abs to sort of see the impact. But overall, I do think it had a positive impact, but not necessarily so much on my lower belly and my mom pouch of sorts. I say that very lovingly, okay? Um, so what did I see? What were my improvements? So now I'll show you the after picture. So what were my improvements? So I did see improved like pelvic floor connection and improved like bladder control. I know, super personal, you're welcome. But I did see an improvement in that, as well as improvement just in my sort of overall like core strength. Endurance, there we go. It definitely improved the endurance in the muscles in my abs. And as you will probably have noticed from the photo, I feel like there is maybe like a slight improvement in the definition of my upper abs. And I feel like there is a small change in my lower abs, but I think the change in my lower abs is pretty minimal. And again, this was really more from like an optimistic standpoint. I was suspicious that it would not be effective on my mom pouch, but your girl had to try. Okay, your girl had to try. So the other thing that I did notice is that by giving myself more ab focus, I had better control when I was lifting weights, because as you probably know, when you're lifting weights, particularly, heavier weights, you need better bodily control, and you're stabilizing in your core, right? That's why they tell you to like act like you're being punched, because you want to stabilize your core as you're going to lift the weights. And so I think that helped me a lot, as well as more stability in things like jumping jacks and those sort of like dynamic movements that I was doing in other physical activity. So did it work? Yes. Did it do exactly what I wanted to do? Not quite. And here is why. The reason that it didn't fully work the way I had hoped, and like I said, I was suspicious, but the reason it didn't work the way that I hoped is that you can't spot reduce fat, particularly like doing ab exercises. I get it. I understand why people want to do that and sort of hope for that. I get it. We all want abs. We all want the flat stomach. I totally get it. Maybe we don't all, but I think there are a lot of people out there who want those things, and that's totally understandable. And you can't spot reduce. You cannot spot reduce fat. And for women in particular, because of the capacity for childbearing, that is where we carry the majority of that extra fat, that extra weight, what they call the beta fat. You have alpha fat and beta fat. And the beta fat is the hardest to burn. And because, women are designed to carry children, we carry biologically more lower belly, like sort of fat around this area for organ protection for the kid, right? And because of that, that means that we have to have an even lower percentage of body fat everywhere else so that we can finally burn that fat storage. And so what is it going to take for me to actually get rid of this mom pouch? Well, what it's going to take for me to actually get rid of this mom pouch is to go back into some sort of caloric deficit. I'm living in caloric maintenance right now, and that's, probably it's going to stay that way until after winter at least. But once the time has come, I'm going to do another, some sort of like cut of sorts, and go back into a caloric deficit so I can really target the lower belly fat, because that's what's left of my body fat. That's where the highest percentage of body fat that I have is. And that's really the only way that my lower belly pouch is going to go away. Some improved exercises, sure, but mostly from eating in a caloric deficit now that the rest of my body is where I want it to be. And I know that can be kind of a bummer, but that's science. And, it is what it is. So I am curious to know from you guys if this video was helpful, if you found it interesting. What are the things that you find most challenging or struggle with the most from a weight loss, a fitness perspective? And if you have enjoyed this video, YouTube should be recommending something to you on the screen that they think that you will enjoy. And that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.